Quite a while back now, I did a review of the first official release from electronic artist Fingers, VGM. A little over a year later, I'm back to review his second release, Surge of Shadows. A little bit later than I had originally intended. This year's been kind of crazy, man, I'm sorry. Anyway, for those of you who do not know, Fingers is a musician, perhaps even now best known for his Play This Like a Damn Fiddle remix, but his work ranges far beyond that. From crossover works with other musicians and live shows, to remixes and original compositions. If you were to ask me to pinpoint a hallmark of his style, I'd say his heavy oscillating synth use is something of a calling card. So, when I reviewed VGM, it was clear that it was very representative of the variety of gaming music that had made a very heavy impact on his individual style. Surge of Shadows takes a different sort of approach. It's still diverse, but the sound itself is much more focused this time around, shifting a little bit from the arcadey feel and instead going for a console PC sound that's more dystopian. Images of Deus Ex come to mind with certain tracks, for example. Now, it's hard for me to review the album on a song-by-song basis. For me, I found it best to listen to it from start to finish, as it felt like a more cohesive experience. Not to say that the songs aren't strong individually, but as with his previous work, it almost forms an unspoken narrative when you go through the whole album. Now, this is probably the point where you're going,
"Oh, hey, Ellen. Oh, man, you gotta choose one favorite track right now, because you gotta show how that one track encompasses the entire album."
I'm gonna be a contrary little shit, because if I had to pick a favourite track, I'd pick 3. Well, I'm bad at choosing individual tracks, and I'm not a very decisive person when it comes to these things. You don't control me, it's my life, I do what I want. Anyway, the titular track, Surge of Shadows, begins with a Sega Genesis-esque siren-like tone that builds up to something of a chase. Like a mission gone wrong, the original harmony permeates the entire song, emphasizing a need to get out to get away and to live another day. It achieves this without going high octane, keeping a rather steady tempo, instead emphasizing a potential panic through the layers of beats and sweeping synth use, like guards slowly increasing their intensity of their searches for you. Of course, with the next song being named Confrontation, it's debatable whether or not the internal narrative can say the character got away. Secondly, Infiltration. It starts off quietly enough, but the sound slowly builds in intensity as layers of beats and synths begin to stack to form the full harmony, only to cut back to a soft drifting tone before building up once more. Are you noticing a theme of this album? Because I have. This, however, builds tension, but not too much, enough to remind you of the job at hand, as it were. The impression is of an operator who knows the song and dance too well to slip up at such a simple incursion. Finally, Struck Down, a rather downbeat track suggesting that perhaps not all excursions are fated to be successful. It's supported by more of that oscillating synth that Fingers loves so well, using a minor key to remove the feeling of overall triumph from the listener, while still filling their ears with a glorious sound. Once again, a building sound. Likely the operation itself was a write-off, even if there was some small personal success, but the grind for work in such a world is never over. The fact that in all 3 of these songs it's a building sound emphasizes the idea of individual growth and overcoming turmoils, overcoming the obstacles in front of you, a theme very much shared from VGM, but a little bit more subtly produced this time around. If VGM was a general love letter to gaming, Surge of Shadows is a note pinned to your door with a knife. Presenting a style influenced by the age of gaming evolution, where arcade coin pushing fell out of style to give way to more narrative-driven games. It's an album that'd be right at home during a session of Shadowrun, accentuating the fact that, whilst you may not always know what's going on, the shadows can only hide so much. You just need to choose if it's you or them it hides. Now, this is the point where you're probably going, "Hey Ellen, what's your favourite track?" Do you hear that? I have to put up with this. This is the shit I gotta put up with. This helicopters and planes over my house when I'm trying to record audio. I don't have a soundproof place. It's so annoying. Oh, dear, I'm a helicopter. Let me just go over your house 50 million times.